Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 468 at scavengerlife.com.
So we're late to the game on this. I'm sure some people are like, oh, I did that 10 years ago. So we've started to watch this show called
10 years ago.
Alone. I don't know.
It's on the History Channel.
Yes. I don't know where. I was on the internet and someone was like, hey, it's a good show. Oh, yeah. It just showed up on Netflix.
One season is on Netflix.
Yeah. So we watch it and we're really enjoying it. This, the premise is 10 people are dropped in kind of the middle of nowhere. Each of them are alone with just a certain amount of stuff, and they have to try and survive the longest.
Yeah.
And, it's all about, like, building a shelter and
finding food, number one.
Yeah, and not, like, getting sick. And
it's amazing.
It's fun.
I can't believe people go on that show.
And actually, for those of us who make videos and TV, it is pretty amazing just thinking about how they produce that, because the participants themselves are having to record themselves.
Yeah, with cameras.
So that must be a fun editing job, We
noticed on one of the shows last night or the night before that they have like wireless mics on. So they have several cameras plus a wireless mic. I mean, that is a serious setup if you're like trying to hunt for food.
And half the time these people are starving because they're not very good at finding food, but they're still doing a good job recording decent audio.
It's incredible.
But it's interesting. So yeah, the challenge is really like food, which is a struggle for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I think I would have a hard time finding food, like catching fish, or some people have bow and arrows, or they have little traps.
Yep.
And, the other thing is there's always a handful of people that seem to tap out because they don't like being alone.
Yeah, right. That's like their primary reason.
Yeah, which I guess shows that some people really have a difficulty like being in their own head for long periods of time.
It's really fascinating. They're like, I miss my family and I want to go home. And you're like, one guy had like a ton of food in one of the seasons, and he's like, yeah, I just want to go home. I was like, wow.
A friend of mine says that his wife told him that if he came home
because he missed her,
because he thought like his wife didn't want him to be away, she'd be so mad. She'd be like, you should have stayed.
Yeah,
because and the whole thing is I think you win, what is it, $1 million, $500,000?
It's $500,000, but the newest season 7, which is on the air right now, it's $1 million.
Right, and we've only seen
crazy,
not even 2 seasons. Yeah. So it seems like, and it's about 30 to 60 days. It seems like you got to live. So it's about
the season 6 on Netflix. It was 75 days.
Wow,
he survived.
Really?
The guy who won.
Nice. But it's interesting. I guess the reason why it's probably so addictive is because, especially those of us who are kind of scavengers. It's like you're just thinking like, what would I take and how would I do it? And why isn't he like gathering more firewood? And why isn't she catching fish all day and like salting it or smoking it for later?
Yep. Right. So, I mean, you think of yourself in those situations, but also you're just like, I have no idea how I would handle those situations,
But you know what? It doesn't feel all that different in my mind from living the life we have now as just independent business people, because it really is the same. I mean, like, there's no one to save us here. And
also like
it's like you're scavenging in the world, and it's not just for like finding a squirrel. We're scavenging for stuff to sell, and
right. And in that show, it's kind of like you were saying. There's no distractions, and there's no family members or spouses or like anything taking your attention away from like you got to find food. There's no schedule. No one's like, we got to do this. It's like you wake up and you gotta find food. Like, there's no one telling you what to do.
But just because this is a podcast about whatever, selling on eBay,
what is it about?
Having like independent lives, it's the same kind of problems. There are people in that show that spend an inordinate amount of time just worrying about things that don't seem to be really that important. And it's just like, with us. I mean, we can easily start worrying about things that we don't need to be worried about.
Sure.
And we need to focus on, I got to get this done.
Right.
There might be this problem in the future.
Sure.
Let's not worry about that. What can I do today just to move things forward?
Right.
And that's why those people on those islands aren't, it drives me crazy. They're like freaking out about all kinds of stuff. Just go and fish all day.
Yeah.
Just shut up about it. And it's just like us. Like, we may have these problems, but like, you know what? Let's just list.
Yeah.
Just today.
Exactly.
I don't know about the future, but that is what's gonna.
That's
push us
what I
forward.
can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I actually did some of that yesterday because our helper's about to leave and for a full-time job, and I had a pile of weird stuff that I was like, I don't really know what to do with this or tell her what to do, so I'm gonna put it on my pile of stuff to list. Is about 10 things. And figure out how I want to sort it. And I did.
Take photos too.
Yeah.
And list.
No,
right?
I mean, I
right.
like
the full
right. I took photos.
Soup to nuts.
Of 15 things. I sat at my computer. I was like, what is this thing? Okay. How much do I want to? Okay. Done. They're listed. You can buy them right now. We
haven't done that in a long time.
No, I mean, I'll take little things here and there. Like, speaking of the show alone, I had some fishing lures that I was like, I don't want anyone touching these because they're sharp, and if you get them in your skin, you literally have to go to like the emergency room. So I would do stuff like that where I'm like, I'll figure this one out. But it's, that's like 4 or 5 things, not 15 things.
So how do you feel about that? About if, let's say, our helper leaves and she never comes back, because I hope her job works out, and we never get a helper again. How do you feel about that? Or do we need we better get a helper soon?
I don't know. I don't mind doing eBay, but it will take away time from doing other things. I have other things that need to happen, especially like establishing this new business. Like if I'm spending all day doing eBay, it won't go as fast.
Yeah, and the it's new business is starting a coffee shop.
Right? Exactly. Like, so that's like a heavy lift of stuff that has to get done. Of course, we're in the middle of a global pandemic, so it's not like we're opening our coffee shop right now, but there are things that have to happen before we open. I think eBay will slow down a little bit, but I feel like if I don't have a helper, I will make sure I devote a couple days a week. Like, this is now my job again, so I have to do that.
And maybe we go back
no death piles.
Right. And as long as I'm not having to do construction during the day, maybe we go back to the thing where, I take photos.
Right.
And then you're the one that lists.
Right.
So
which is how we're doing it now. I can be your
helper. And we go back to the old... I mean, the nice thing about having helpers, we can just throw anything and everything at her.
Yeah.
And she just gets through it all. When we do it, I know the way we do it is we start pulling out the really cool stuff.
Yeah, the interesting
stuff we want to do.
Yeah.
And that's how
that's not bad.
That's how the piles of death happen, because those are the things you really aren't excited about,
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely things where you're like, what is this?
And the nice thing is we haven't had a death pile in a couple of years.
Yeah, a long
time.
So hopefully we can keep up with that. But I don't think it's a bad thing to be like, well, this is where we started, so this is what you're going to do. And
it's nice that we have, again, for us, it's nice having a large inventory.
Yeah.
It's over 7,000 items. Because then if we quote unquote slack off or don't put anything,
there's still a lot of stuff to
brand new
sell.
Up, we'll be okay for a while.
Yeah.
The other thing is, it was your birthday this past week.
Yay!
I mentioned that was coming. So there
41.
You are. 41. You're older.
Yeah, I'm in my 40s. Older. It's not just I'm 40. I'm in it. I'm in this decade now. I was saying something to someone, or I was writing an email and being like, yeah, I'm 41.
Do you think you'll have a midlife crisis and want to get a sports car?
Yes. No.
I will say, we've been talking about it because we both had a birthday, getting a little bit older. And I don't think I spoke about it well about how I was feeling about it.
Spoke about it. I think you spoke about it fine.
Okay. I guess I feel like I hadn't. I think the reason why I feel good as I get older is because I'm not, how do I say, I'm not dreaming as much or doing more.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was younger, I would have little notebooks. I'd write so many notes of all these things I wanted to do, all these ideas. But I didn't have three things. I didn't have the confidence. Mm-hmm. I didn't have the skill, really, to do a lot of things. It was just like a lot of kooky ideas.
Like, how would I do this?
I also didn't have the resources.
Right.
I was just broke.
Yeah.
And so, I think now I have those things.
Yeah.
And I think the two of us, we had the confidence to do things. So we have ideas, and we're like, okay, how would we do that?
Right.
And we have the skill to do it now. And if we don't have the specific skill, we know how to get those skills.
Or get someone to help us.
And we also now, thankfully, have in many cases, the money or resources. Well, to make things happen, and it feels really good.
It's funny that you're like, oh, back then I didn't have those things. But honestly, back then in your 20s or whenever, I mean, you started to gather those things. Sure. It's not like you were like, I didn't have them and I didn't get them. Right. It's like you started then. I mean, you started saving money then. You started learning things, and so it's like you started then to get all the things you have now.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean,
it's not like it just came out of nowhere.
We would have ideas, but the way to get there took a lot longer. Now, I feel like we can have ideas and we can kind of act on them pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you can try to
even like with this coffee shop. So we've been in the roasting beans. We've been talking about this for 2 years now, I think, from the very initial idea.
Yeah, I mean, from the very.
And it was like for a year, it was pretty much kind of like
how would we do this?
Kind of a kooky idea. Yeah. Like it was just like, we want to do this? Yeah. Is it something that sounds fine? How would we do it? But during that time, we were researching. We were going to places and
talking to people, asking. We would go to a coffee shop, order a coffee, and if it wasn't busy, we'd just start talking to the barista. We'd start asking them questions. I mean, they probably thought we were nuts. Right. We would just be like, tell us about this. Tell us about this. How often do you do this? How much food do you sell? I mean, they probably just thought we were like curious neighbors or whatever, which we were. Yeah. But we were definitely like taking notes,
And then we chose to partner with two people that already have a coffee shop, so
they know a lot of those answers.
Because I think we realized, like, do we want to take the whole chunk? Do we want to take the whole bite ourselves? And no, and so it feels good. And then it seems like for about a year now is when we've been really serious and putting money into it and planning,
buying equipment.
Like we could maybe post a photo of this as we moved our roaster that we bought in November.
On eBay.
Yeah.
eBay!
And we moved it into a building that we just finished renovating.
We bought a building and renovated the building.
So maybe we could post that photo, because I think when people say, oh, it's like a roaster.
It's huge.
It's like a little microwave. No.
It's this thing weighs like 1,500 pounds. Yeah. We have to get it on what was that machine? It's like a little bulldozer.
Hire a buddy, like a skid loader.
A skid loader, like
a farmer friend came over and we
it's
got
no
it.
Joke. But so side note, mentioning my birthday and age and stuff, part of it too is like, honestly, when you're in your 20s, this was my experience, when you're in your 20s and your 30s, you're like, I'm young, I'm a kid, like I have all the time in the world and whatever. And I remember the very moment that it hit me. I was 30. I remember I'm 35 years old. Uh-huh. We watched that show, Cosmos.
A new one.
The new one with Neil deGrasse Tyson. The very opening scene of Cosmos, they show you like, hey, I'm a person and I'm in the middle of a park, and they like zoom out, and they're like, they're like, oh, this is how big the universe is as we know it. And I was like, oh my God. Number one, we're all going to die.
I remember that night. What? So
I had that is a pure existential crisis where you're like, nothing means anything.
It was scary to you?
Oh my God. I had a panic attack.
I can remember that night when you were on the couch.
I think I was 36 years old. I remember being like, oh my God, I'm not a kid. I'm an adult. The things I do are like the things that I've decided to do, right. And so go watch the opening scene of Cosmos, and you'll know what I mean.
It's funny though because I look at that in kind of I guess it just depends on where your mind is. I look at that and it makes me feel so good.
No, it does. It does.
Things are so just infinite.
Yes. You can do anything.
Really. Not that it doesn't matter. It just makes everything just like it's
small.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Like,
no, look.
It's all good.
I don't want to get into the my philosophy of life, but this honestly is my philosophy of life. Is that we are very privileged to live in the United States, I think, and be where we are and have come from where we have come from. But I'm also like, if we want to make something happen, we can. The universe is infinite. Humans are like amazing creatures, that have the possibility to do things. And most of what you do means nothing in the end, and you're going to die. And so why not just do what you want to do?
Yep.
Money is a tool. Money means nothing. Although
it's just a construct. It's a construct
that actually in our reality means everything. Like you have to have money. It's crazy. You have to have money in order to have shelter, food. Although if we just went into the woods like those people in Alone, we don't need to have money. We just need a bow and arrow. So yeah. So for me, being in my 40s makes me realize life is really short.
Yeah.
Because when my parents were in their 40s, I thought they were old people who had the wisdom of the world, and I'm like, oh, that's actually not true. They had no idea. All.
They were.
So it makes me feel like, oh, the things you want to do, you got to do them.
Yeah.
Because, that's just got to... Or decide to do nothing. Right. Or decide to just be I'm paying my bills and I'm watching TV.
There are three things. Number one, I like that you're the one that's actually talking about this stuff. Because I feel like on this podcast, I'm always the one with my philosophy. So I love hearing
I think because people, look... I
love your philosophies.
Look, my philosophy has a name. There are other people that think it's called existential nihilism. And that's exactly how I view the world. I'm like, humans mean nothing. There's...
Right.
Yeah, so I could go on and on about it.
I like, though, that the important thing for me is that we're talking about this stuff as our lives are unraveling.
Yeah.
Going towards death.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think that's what happens to people is they get surprised.
Yeah.
By their life.
Yeah.
Wait, my life is...
Oh, this is what it is?
Is done. So I'm glad we're talking about this.
Yeah.
And we always need to be talking about it.
It makes me feel better to be like, oh, the possibilities are infinite? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yep. So what am I going to do right now?
Yep. So, and just kind of bringing it back.
Yeah, bring it back.
It's like the power of 10, nihilism. And we were way too far out. Okay, so
come back to our kitchen table.
So where we are in our projects, and I think this would be true for anyone starting an eBay business, is we're at that point of this in-between point inside of a project, where you have an idea and you're starting to build it and you're putting resources into it. So for us, we're trying to build this coffee shop and it's kind of in between, and we need to put more money into it before it can be successful, but it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
And it's like if you want to start an eBay business and you put a little bit of money into it and you have to put... you have 10 items up, but you kind of need to have
1,000.
500 items, right? And so it's that in between it, and it's the scariest time because you don't know if it's going to work.
Right.
But you don't know if it's going to work until you put quite a bit more time into
and resources
it.
And resources.
And you just have to kind of go for it and trust that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we are.
Oh, for sure. Like that is, and it's really a scary feeling.
Right. And it's just like those people on that show alone, like they're always, like, I think they're always questioning themselves. Like, did I do the right thing? Like, are my traps going to be okay?
Yeah.
Did I build this like shelter okay when the snow comes? You know, they're just always kind of, and you don't know. You just have to make your best choice you can and just keep going.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about eBay.
Yeah.
So I was looking at our numbers, you know, not the numbers we talk about, but like, you know, eBay gives you like, we have to pay a bill every month.
Yeah.
Right? And then eBay has like a breakdown of where that is. And there's like an invoice that happens. And I was like, I mean, we've been getting this forever. I really do not like how eBay does it now, and why I'm actually kind of excited about managed payments if it's going to be the way I think it is.
Right.
Like now, if you sell a bunch of stuff, and then at the end of the month, they send you a bill with all these fees.
Yep.
So they give you all the money up front, but then they want a big money chunk back. Of change. I mean, it's quite a bit. It's like 20% of your profit. You know? So I hope that managed payment's going to be more like it is with Amazon.
Yeah,
where
I think it's the same.
I sell an item for $10. eBay will take out their fees.
Yeah.
And then they just give me my net profit.
Right.
You know?
So like part of our invoice that started to go high is anytime I buy a FedEx label, that goes on my invoice.
Right.
Anytime I buy eBay send label, that goes, and those are expensive. It's like $13 to $25 depending on how big the item is. So those are huge chunks of money that come out at the end of the month that you're like, how much do I owe eBay?
It kind of surprised me, and that's why I went into I probably should, but I don't go through our invoice every month, but it seemed unreasonably high.
Yeah.
And it looked like, you know, eBay does this thing where they didn't charge us for FedEx shipping.
The month before.
So they piled it on to this month.
For some reason in May they didn't charge us for April. Yeah. And then I looked at the FedEx, charges, and it's like starting from April 7th. I'm like, why?
And, we're pretty good about always keeping a chunk of change to handle things. It. But I know I've seen other people who sell on eBay who either need the money right then, they like empty out their bank account.
It's not good. And
then they get this big bill, or they get all these charges they weren't expecting. Right. And then they're like, I don't have the money.
Yeah, it sucks.
So it'll be interesting. Managed payment, I guess, in about a month. They said
it's
end of July. So we'll see what happens.
It's coming up. So I think what stinks is, the accounting is going to be like half the year was, all these fees and shipping and blah, 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 blah. And then it's going to be that other half of the year where
it's anyone that's sold on eBay for any length of time. These big changes happen. And when I say big changes, it's a big change to how we do things, So like we have a process for how eBay works for us, It's kind of like, it's like a nice thing. And then it's going to get all changed, and we'll have to like change the way we do things and reconnect things. So, but
we'll see.
That's just part of it. Okay, let's talk about our numbers for the week. How did the week feel to you?
Medium.
Let's talk about feelings.
Medium. I don't know.
So last week we sold 42 items. This week we sold 50 items.
Okay, a little more.
Yeah, we had a couple good days, a couple slow days, but 50 items, that's a lot of items.
That's pretty good.
We basically made $100 more than a week ago.
Okay.
So we made $1,480.87.
Not bad.
And that's not including shipping, which we don't. I don't count that as like in our profits. Although eBay likes to think that's like these are your profits. Like,
right.
Shipping is not profits for us.
Yeah.
And so the items that we sold that made us some good profit. We sold. It's so weird. Like this it's like a sled, but it's not really a sled.
What?
It's like a decorative sled that's like painted like a German
church in winter.
Anyway, $120. One of those things that you get for no money.
I bought it for $1.
Yeah, awesome. We sold a hand-carved sculpture of like a peace hand symbol.
Hand holding out the peace symbol.
$100.
Sold within a couple hours.
Yep.
Over $100.
We sold, I guess it was a humidor, like this copper.
Yeah, it was a humidor for
cool.
Cigars.
$60.
It was in rough shape, and I had it up for over $100. Someone offered $60. I was like, yes.
Now, and then we sold just a bunch of random stuff, as always.
Stuff.
But the stuff that's satisfying, because I love the satisfying stuff, the way the two of us sell. The stuff you're like,
oh, thank goodness.
We sold this it was like a side table with little pom-poms around it.
Avocado green side table with avocado green pom-poms.
Yeah.
It's shippable. It's pretty small.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much is that? 40?
40. I mean, which is incredible.
But it's one of those things where you're like, this is such a particular item, and also it's a table that I want out of my storage.
It's so satisfying because
you take it off the top shelf.
It takes off so much.
Yeah.
And then we sold these parapsychology magazines.
Oh my God.
For $96.
I've had those for so long.
They're from like the 70s.
Right? Yeah.
It's like something that came in the bottom of a box, and it's back when people were trying to put like the scientific ideas towards like telekinesis, which is of course all nonsense, but
No, you don't believe in telekinesis? What am I thinking right now? I'm going to move that item on the table.
But yeah, like some art guy in Manhattan got it. Yeah. Because
that was what, $96?
$96.
That's a great, look, when I see a sale like that of like the weirdest periodicals, you're like,
and we were on the forum talking about selling magazines.
Yeah.
Someone said they had a bunch of like magazines on just like
what were they on? Oh, knitting,
knitting, and she's like, I'm just going to get rid of all these, and people are like, I love selling magazines.
You got to sell them.
But it really is.
They're slow.
And if you don't have storage for it, just dump them.
Yeah, donate them.
Yeah, I mean, sell them. Normally, we sell them unless they're like really expensive. We sell them
by the year.
Yeah. By the year.
Look, it was a couple of years ago at an auction. We bought all these decorative painter magazines. It's like a craft magazine, just like the knitting ones. I've sold quite a few lots of those.
I bought the whole table for $1
because
nobody wanted them.
Yeah, of course. So we sorted them by year. I probably have sold a third of them for like $25 a lot. Yep. Which is pretty good, but now they are honestly just sitting there. And people will be like, will you just sell me the March, the March, April
of 2001?
And you're like, no.
And then the other thing we do is, I get magazine subscriptions for our rentals. Because I think it's kind of classy when people come on vacation and there's like a backpacker magazine.
Yeah, we have a backpacker magazine.
Just things, I think people like to read magazines.
I forget what the other ones we have.
And they're really cheap. Like I go on these sites where
they're like $9 a year.
Yeah. And then because I don't want to be a rental that has like those really old magazines, I get the old ones and then we sell them.
Architectural Digest, I've sold, I mean, those are expensive. You know, people want to see, 2015.
Vanity Fair.
We have some Vanity Fair,
Then we also sold, of course, 2 little tiny plates for $20 each, which I love. That's so satisfying.
One was
Potter,
Haviland.
Yep. Pottery,
Limoges.
China. So satisfying.
One of them was just vintage Nippon.
Yeah.
Meaning made in Japan.
Yep.
Yep.
We didn't do any scavenging this week, although we did. I don't know if we talk about it. So we ventured into our local thrift store just to kind of see. We didn't actually see anything worth.
I didn't go with you. You went alone.
I went in there alone. Yeah. I
haven't gone in yet.
I had on a mask.
How many people were there?
4 or 5 people.
Did everyone have to have a mask?
Nope. It's, I think, I don't know if it's state by state. In our state, every business has a sign up front that says, you must wear a mask to come in.
People don't anyway.
Not enforced
Not enforced. Yeah.
People don't do it. It's kind of just one of those things.
We do it.
It's like a big science experiment. But anyway, I was hoping that there would be like all this stuff for sale, and
you couldn't
just our individual one. I didn't see a lot, but I do see people on the forum though. They're going to garage sales, estate sales.
Stuff is open,
so things are
different here and there. Yard sales.
I think we're all just at the point where like we're done. Just see what happens.
Yeah,
so be safe out there. Customer issues. We got one of those, like 70s clock, like a
digital alarm clock.
And the guy got it, and it stopped working. It worked when we sent it. He said it didn't work, and it was broken when he sent it back. It seems like electronics are the worst.
I know.
For us. And we get so many returns on those vintage electronics because all we can do is just plug it in and it works, and then the guy gets it, and then...
So the problem with this clock was the face lights up, but it just stays on one time. Like the time is frozen. Right. It's like 8:20.
Right. Forever.
Yep.
You're stuck.
It did move after an hour or two. It was 8:22. I'm like, so I'm actually going to try to sell it for parts.
Yeah.
For cheap. Because I already have photos of it.
And we just sold this week a Discman, right?
Yeah, Sony Discman made in Japan. I've tested it several times and it works.
But I'm afraid the guy's going to get it and be like, it doesn't work.
It's not really working.
I don't know. So I really, my hat is off to the people who focus just on electronics. I'm like, I don't know how you do it. So the other issue we had this week is we had this guy from Australia, and we had these, we talked about it, these Danish cool,
they're German,
modern knife. They're real cool. Flatware. And this guy, he went in our store and he got all the pieces, but then one lot we had 5 knives.
He only wanted 4,
and he's like, I don't want to pay that much. I just need 4. So we said, okay, we'll send you 4. And it's all documented.
Yeah, in every message he says
we'll send you 4 for X amount of dollars, and we'll just keep one of them. He gets all the lots. It's fine with all of them. And then the one where we sent 4, he says, this should have had 5. I'm going to return it.
He opens a return.
Right. So take it from him.
So he opens a return, and he says, like you said, the invoice and the listing says this has 5 knives, and you only sent 4. I'm flabbergasted. I'm like, every message, he was so adamant.
Because he wanted $30 off the price.
Yeah, he wanted the price. So we were like, fine, whatever. So I have to accept the return. He's in Australia.
Send, right?
Yeah, it's eBay send. So he has to send them back. I don't think he's going to. I also messaged him, replying to one of his messages saying, I'm copy and pasting, and you can see below, you only asked for 4 knives. Right. So that's what I sent you.
Right.
What else can I do except be like, did you not remember this conversation? It was you were very adamant.
Right.
So the thing about returns, because I had a return open from sometime in April, end of April, May. I called eBay the other day and I was like, this was supposed to be returned by June 10th. That was over a week ago. And they're like, yeah, we're not manually closing any, I didn't tell you this yet. We're not manually closing any returns.
Right.
And buyers have 35 business days.
Right. Which is 45.
Yeah. I can't even, I'm
days.
like, how many, this is so because, and we all know this because we've experienced it. Shipping can get delayed. The post office is bogged down. We know all that, right? 35, because I was like, so I did the calculation. I was like, oh, well, it's been 35 days.
Right.
And they're like, 35 business days.
Right.
I'm like, and we won't close it.
Right.
It's just going to stay open until that date, and then it's going to close.
There was a thread on the forum where people are talking about that, where someone's like, I just got a return from someone that bought it April 10th. And eBay's not, it's like, and eBay's not giving us the end date. It's just so So I don't even
date's
know.
Incorrect on.
And what is 35 business days like? Like, do they have a calendar?
No, they don't.
Okay.
So look, if you look, I use this all the time. There's like dateandtime.com or whatever. Just Google it. Say business day calendar calculator. You can go in and be like, okay, April 10th. And then today. And you're like, how many business days has it been?
Right.
Oh, 25.
Right.
Okay, 10 more business days. That's 2 weeks from now.
So does eBay, though, have some internal calculator where they'll automatically close it? Okay.
They keep saying that, but I have nothing that, you know, everything else has been returned, so I've been refunding people. Yeah. Look, to me, it's okay to have 30, like I have 30-day returns.
Seems very generous.
Right. And now it's more than that, and I can't manually close it with the date. That's like, you know, I'm messaging them and I'm like, yo, it's been over a week. And they're like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
So.
But the good thing is we don't get that many returns, and we don't really ever get returns that late. It's just those weird every so often ones. They're just very annoying, you know.
It's just sitting open.
So just to tie up the ends of that story of the Australian guy and those knives. Yeah. So it is our mistake, I believe. But I mean, I signed off on it. I mean, when someone says, okay, it's 5 knives, send me 4, and you send it, but it's from, you know, I mean, honestly, it's not good. Like, I guess legally or whatever, we should have like ended it and then taken a picture of 4 and sent the guy, you know what I mean? Because we've had that happen before where someone I would want this piece of art and it's framed with glass. Take it out of the thing. We haven't had any problems with that, but the buyer could, I guess, be like, you just sent me the
I did have a problem with that.
Right.
I took it out of the frame. Right. This is like classic. She was like, please take it out of the frame so it's cheaper shipping. Blah, blah, blah. Fine. Great. I don't want to ship it framed. Right. I get it to there. They're like, where's the frame? And you're like...
So, and then how did that end? I
think it was just a conversation. Like, they hadn't opened a thing. No, you know what? They had opened an item not described. Okay. So, this is back in the old days where I called eBay and I was like, she asked me to, like, here's the thread. Right. And they sided with me. They're like, yeah, we're closing this return. They would never do that now. They'd be like, accept the return. You have to pay her all her money.
Right. So, I guess that's our fault.
Yeah, you're like, no.
You know, we're taking the chance that this guy is a reasonable guy and that, you know, but anyway, so that's, I guess, the problem with buyers changing what's inside of a listing.
And then just going by the messages.
But we should have...
I should have just sent him the other knife. And so I would have been like, okay, you have an extra knife. Yeah. What do you... Yeah.
But it's one of those things where, like, he was really trying to kill us on the price, and I'm just like, well,
fine, I'm gonna
$30 off. Like, well, I'm gonna keep this.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, things we learned in the forum. There was a long thread on someone saying, "What do you tell the buyer?" And it's very common these days, where the buyer says, "What's the lowest you're going to take?"
Oh my god!
You know? And it was funny. A lot of people gave all kinds of answers.
It's so funny. What's the lowest?
Well, I think it's a price I have up. Like, I don't know, like, that's the price.
But if you have make an offer.
I know, but it's...
But I always am like, I think we just say, you know, we'll consider any reasonable offer.
And then you see what...
So if they're like $5, you're like, that's not reasonable in my opinion.
Right. But I don't know. I mean,
it's tough because I, as a buyer, sometimes want to ask people that because I don't want to be like giving them a super low offer and they just decline me. Right. I'm like, well, what's your ballpark? I mean, you have make an offer.
I think the best answer is to be a robot and just to check the item out. How hungry are we to sell it? And just be like, I'll take this, and then just see what happens.
You can,
I mean, that's really the answer.
Yeah.
We had a friend on the forum who wrote a post where his account got hacked.
Oh my god.
And it was his eBay account that got hacked, and they went in, I think it was eBay, or was it PayPal?
Yeah, it was eBay.
And the hacker changed where his payments were going to. So it looked fine on the store, and things were selling great, no problem, and he could ship stuff. but the money wasn't going into his account. And I think he caught it after 3 days or something, fairly quick. But he put the whole thing about like pain in the butt of having to figure all this out. eBay started this 2-step authentication.
Yeah.
And any of you who know, it's a really smart way to have security where no one can just get into your account if they know your password. It also has to get on your phone, ping your phone to get a code. We tried that 2-step authentication a year ago.
Yeah.
And the problem is with the way eBay implemented it, then it logs you out every time you're off the computer.
And you have to get a text every time you log in.
And so
it's insane.
So we actually turned it off because we can't run a business like that, like always having to get the phone code. Most 2-step authentications, like with Google or whatever, you do it one time on your computer, and then it remembers your computer, and then you're good to go from then on. And I hope eBay, like, they need to do that,
Yeah, like, this is my computer, this is my IP address. Yeah. If it's not this, ping me.
Right.
It was so... I was like, oh, this is a great idea. Of course I'm going to do it. It's so obnoxious. I'm like, I cannot deal with this. I cannot run my business like this.
And then there was a fun thread on Sonia started about what's on your scavenger bucket list.
Yeah. And there was a bunch of stuff on there that I'm like, oh, yeah.
It's funny that she brought it up in that way because those of us that sell the way we do, we're finding the weird vintage stuff. And it is true. I do it like this too. Instead of like, oh, this kind of shirt sells, I'm only going to find that shirt all the time. No, my mind is like, no, I want to find different stuff. Like I'll find that shirt that sells, but I want to find all this different cool stuff because it's satisfying.
It's more interesting.
Yeah. I mean, and people were putting the stuff that they have found and then stuff they would like to find. Like she said, okay, she's found like that Australian oilskin coat.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Hand printed wallpaper. I don't know if we found hand printed wallpaper.
Not hand printed, no. Mm-mm.
Like
found wallpaper.
Yeah, I mean things she hasn't found, shell cordovan shoes.
We found several of those.
We haven't found those in a long time.
I haven't found those in years.
So I don't know if the word is out on those and it's just too hard to find now. But those, just type it in, shell cordovan.
They're very expensive.
Really fancy. She hasn't found a Coogie sweater.
Oh, I found Coogie.
We found those and I wasn't very impressed.
They just don't. Ours just never sold very well.
Yeah. She says she hasn't found, and we haven't either, the polo, like the teddy bear clothing.
Oh, like that stuff 90s sells for so much money. I've never found those.
I think those days are over for us finding those because those are getting snatched up. I think
find those.
Maybe back in 2010 or something, we might have been able to find that.
No one knew about it yet.
That like weird, where like all these hip top dudes are wearing like these like teddy bear sweaters.
It's so funny. Blowheads.
Yeah, so funny.
Yep.
But yeah, but those are the fun things, and I do know that feeling of when you're at an auction or a thrift store and you find something like that,
and you know what it is.
It's so exciting. Like I've heard about this. I found it.
That it is fun when you find that, and you're like, you kind of look around the store like nobody else noticed this. Nobody else knows what this is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep. Guard your cart.
That's right. Yeah.
Guard your cart.
Okay, let's go to the comments or questions that people sent in.
We have quite a few calls this week. People answered our call for calls.
Call to action.
Yes. So you can call our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486. Or you can email us an audio file to our email address, which is thescavengerlife@gmail.com.
Hey, Jay and Ryan. This is Didymus, a long-time listener, and just love your program. An episode or two back, you were talking about your town and how you collected postcards and how you discovered that your building that you've renovated in town at one time was a diner. Well, an interesting way that you can find out what your building has been at different times in the past and other locations near you is through Sanborn maps. Sanborn Maps is a fire insurance company that I think is still in operation. Beginning in 1866, they started making pretty detailed maps of cities, of the main streets and all of different cities, and it would show the outline of the building and also indicate if it was a domicile or a store or whatever. So what I did, I looked up, I Googled, and I found some interesting sites. At the University of California, Berkeley, their website shows that they actually have maps from 1886, 1891, 1897, 1902, 1907, 1912, 1921, and 1927. Now, I was able to download some maps of my own town of Breaux Bridge, Louisiana, through the University of Louisiana in nearby Lafayette. You may be able to do the same thing at a local university. But if you go a little bit further down in your Google search, you will see that the Library of Congress actually shows some maps from your town. And looking at it, I see a map from 1886, and your location of your building is blank. It's empty there, although there is a barbershop next door, and across the street is a barbershop. The next map that I downloaded was from 1891, and now your building, it shows a pool room was there with a barbershop next door, shoemaker, drugstore, and a vacant store next to that. And across the street is a barbershop and an eating hall. So you might want to check it out. Bye-bye.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah.
We just spent like a bunch of time looking at this map.
Yeah, we paused the podcast and checked it out. Yeah. I need to find, so our building was built in when?
1928.
So we need to see if there's a more updated one. But it's cool to see what was on our main street back in the late 1800s. And it really is sad. You know, you think like, wow, this was like a thriving...
So much
like
stuff.
A butcher and shoemaker and...
A YMCA.
You know, and now there's really not a whole lot.
Oh, man.
And that's true for a lot of small towns in America. Just, yeah. But there's a comeback coming.
That's right.
Yeah, so thanks for...
That is cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
I'm going to check out... Everyone can now check out their own little small town.
Hi, Jay and Ryan. It's Samantha in Florida. I've called before. I've only been a reseller for 2 years, so I'm still kind of deciding, you know, do I want to do things this way, that way. But I am struggling with the whole free shipping thing. Now, I know you've brought it up before. You've brought it up many times. Free shipping's not really free. It just means shipping included. Yes, I noticed that 15 years ago on Amazon Prime, free shipping. It's not really free. It's just, you're paying the same amount whether it says free shipping or not on books. This is on books. But for my own eBay business, you know, I had started putting lots of stuff free shipping, which means shipping included. But the problem is when the USPS raised rates this last time, to ship from Florida, a 1 pound item or 2 pound item going priority is anywhere from $8 to $15. So, you know, when it's first class and you're paying $3, $4, or $5, it's easy to put that in your price because it's barely changing across the country when it's being shipped from, you know, either near you or far from you. But how am I supposed to take, you know, a $20 item and have between $8 and $15 shipping included? Because if I add 15, it's going to be too expensive compared to some of the other people selling the same thing. My stuff's not unique enough to just price it at whatever I want. So I've been taking free shipping off gradually and just not putting it on the new stuff. And I'm kind of wondering if you have a feel for how much this is really helping or hurting. Like, have you heard other people talk about it or say their experience? I don't see too many YouTubers talking about it, really. They either do it or they don't. Maybe I just have the problem because I'm in Florida, and there is such a variance between shipping to the East Coast versus the West Coast. So, thoughts, advice, because I'm taking free shipping off of everything, but I'm just wondering if it's hurting me. All right, take care. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Amen, sister. Look, we're not the ones to come to about advice on free shipping. I mean, that is a problem. So if I have a $20 item, So everyone is selling the same thing for $20.
Right.
But then if I put free shipping on it and it happens to be like something heavy or bulky.
I'm going to California.
And so I have to add $15 to it. So now my thing's $35 and a lot of buyers are like, why is this? I mean, like it won't even show up in search because everything else is $20 with plus shipping. So for the kind of items we deal with, it just doesn't make sense. It makes sense if you're selling iPod cases, it costs you $3 to ship this thing.
Or like very specific first class items that are,
and then, there's that problem of once the post office changes up, where they charge more, then you better hurry up and go through if you do free.
Prices. Yeah, because calculated shipping should automatically be the right price.
The other problem I have with the kind of stuff we sell is, we're willing to take offers. So let's say we sell an item for $20 or we have an item up for $20 and then we add the shipping in there. So now it's $35. And then we get buyers who are like, oh, will you take $30? Because people want a deal, but I've already got a shipping in that price. So every dollar they're trying to get out of me for that. Yeah. So then I'm just like shipping basically for free,
it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for what we sell. Like we said, I sold a table. Like I can't, if they live in the next town over, that's going to be different than if this person lives in California.
Right.
I mean, I can't subsidize that for a table.
But there are scavengers out there who we know on our forum who they explain it and they've figured out. Yeah. They've done their own equations with their own kind of inventory where they do shipping for free and it works for them, and that's great. We all just have to come up with that equation. We've actually tried.
Yes.
Not for long periods of time, but for like a month or two at a time where we've tried to do shipping for free and we didn't see like some crazy rush. Like if we had got like 10 times as many sales, I'd probably have it change a tune.
But we didn't.
But it was about the same sales, but it was just we're eating more costs, so it didn't make sense.
Hey, fellow scavengers. This is Brian from Illinois, and I don't really have a problem here. I just thought I'd relay a situation that happened to me recently. I sell fairly often some new or almost new electronics on consignment, and I don't really like consignment. I know that's a topic, and I also use auctions for those items since they're new or almost brand new and they're highly sought after. But a friend of mine and I, we worked out a deal that we both like, and so fairly often I'll sell this stuff for him. And recently I listed a new Sony PS4 as an auction, and it went for 5 days. And at the end of the auction, the buyer didn't pay right away, and eBay sent me a message through eBay messages that said the buyer was invalid, did not have an account on eBay, and I shouldn't send him the item. He didn't pay for it, he or she. But the thing I thought was kind of curious was this person somehow hacked the system and was able to bid on items without having an eBay account. So that's what the message said anyway. And I don't think this is a huge problem. I don't know if I don't think I ever had this happen before. Who knows? But I did think that was interesting. So stay safe out there. Bye.
Yeah, that's odd. So it's like somebody who's not a real person who doesn't have a PayPal account or a real eBay account was able to win an auction.
It's classic.
Who knows? It's
always with like electronics, especially electronic. And honestly, I think it's like teenagers. Teenage boys learn how to do like hacking, like baby hacking, and they're like they bought some fake account or something and then they do it. It's just it
must be.
Yeah, it's again, those of you who sell like cell phones and video games and consoles.
It's the worst. Anytime I try to sell one of my iPhones, this happened a couple months ago. It was like impossible. I had make offer. I was sending offers. wouldn't pay, didn't exist in a country I don't ship to. I was like, okay, I'm taking off make offer, I'm putting the price I want, and they have to pay immediately. And that's what worked.
Yep.
It was like no auction, no nothing. It is pay immediately, and I'm shipping it to you.
Right.
And that's what worked.
Yeah.
So I know, what a pain.
Sorry that happened. I'm sure it will
stinks.
sell for you, no problem.
To a real person, hopefully.
Hi, this is Britt in Indianapolis. Wanted to let you all know that Goodwill here in central Indiana, they closed their vintage Vogue stores, two in Indy and then the one down in Bloomington. And they had said that it was because not making enough to pay for the stores. So I don't know if people are just changing up their shopping habits or what, or if the rents were just a little bit too much for them. And then also about the shipping supplies, I just sell my extra ones. I sell primarily postcards and really nothing on there on the store right now because something that I use on a regular basis. So I just sell my tape. I make a little money off of it, but it's not really that hard to ship. I just throw it in those UPS bubble mailers and get a flat rate. So anywhere in the United States, it ships for the same price. So I'd probably make about $3 or $4 off of it. So just want to let you guys know, and thank you for doing the podcast. Bye.
So he said, what now? Has Goodwill
closed their vintage bookstores in Indiana?
Huh.
I didn't know they had vintage bookstores.
Or I wonder if he meant like a section of books in their store.
I wonder if there's just like, I don't know.
I mean, I find, I don't know, we don't sell a lot of books, so maybe I'm talking out of school, but I just never found the Goodwill book racks very good. It just seemed like a lot of junk. So maybe they just, if he's talking about in the actual store, the corner that sells the books, maybe they were just like, we don't sell enough books. It's junk. We can sell them by the truckload to a recycler or whoever. Yeah. And then we'll put whatever clothes or something here.
That could be why. And then he said he sells his eBay supplies.
I've heard people do that too.
Yep, I've seen them on eBay. Yeah. When you have a free coupon and you're like, I'm not going to use any of this, but I might as well grab it.
$3-4, like, man, my hat's off to you. I'm taking off my hat all at this podcast. Yeah.
Hey kids, Steve from Ohio calling. Just a comment about your podcast from a couple weeks ago regarding a shipment to San Francisco the tracking stopped in San Francisco. I had a couple similar situations, and in less than 10 days, I just filed a insurance claim with USPS, and they paid it right away, no questions asked. I know a lot of people seem to think it takes 30 days or more, but you can just do it right away. And even if it delivers, they already paid you. So just a little advice. I know a lot of people seem to be confused about how that works, but when tracking stops for 2 or 3 days, just file a claim. Also, Vidionics Fire Rider. I'm sure somewhere in your travels working in television production, you've run across one or maybe used one. Can that work with a PC, and what's the best connection to use? Do I need software to actually demo it to show that it actually works? Or all I have is the power cord and the box itself. Thanks a lot. Appreciate the help. Take care.
Okay, so my item that was shipping to San Francisco, unfortunately, was media mail. So it was a book.
Yep.
It was a book. And so there's no insurance included. If it was priority mail, I would definitely claim insurance. Or if I had bought insurance on this very cheap, $10 book or whatever, but I didn't. Yeah. So I can't claim insurance.
And then I'll answer his quick question. So I guess he found this old
Vidionics
of electronics thing. So I actually first started to edit a video, and what you do is, if I remember correctly, it's for your television. So you hook it up to your TV, and then it's got RCA cables for your VCRs. So
it's VHS to VHS. It's what we used to call an A/B roll system, where you have. Oh no! So one's a record and one's a right. So it's not A/B roll.
And then it's got like inside of it, it's got like a generator, so it can put titles up on the screen, and it could do a little in between edits, could do like wipes
transitions
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's the one he has, but it had nothing to do with computers. This is before computers.
It was analog.
Yep, it was analog, and it was super.
I love it. Oh my god!
People would love it now. It was a pain in the butt back then.
It sucked. It sucked to edit analog.
Yeah, but you know what? People are thinking that it's a cool style now. So I bet if you just put it up, I'm sure it's fine.
I love how like we're being so bummed that our electronics, like we test them and like people return them, and you're like, don't even test it, just sell it.
It's fine.
I mean, that's pretty cool. I love vintage video electronic stuff like that. It's amazing.
Okay, that's the end of the podcast. Thank you for being with us today. I hope we were hanging out. It's with you while you're being very productive. We are at scavengerlife.com. This is where we are on the internet. And you can check out this forum we talk about, scavengerlife.com/forum, where you can see the links and things we talk about. You can leave a question or comment at our voicemail line.
You can call us at the phone number is 540-407-8486, or you can email us a file. Our email is thescavengerlife@gmail.com.
We get a lot of calls from the middle of the country. Where's my coasts? West Coast,
I know, come
on. And we post an episode every Monday. Just if you're new to this show, this is a show. It's more like a little diary.
Show.
And then Wednesdays on our website, we post Steve's
What Sold video. And it's like a special, it's private, so you can't actually find it anywhere. You can't find it on YouTube. You can only find it on our site.
That's right.
Special. Exclusive.
Yeah, it's good. And he really finds really cool, fun stuff. So and you can subscribe, obviously, through iTunes, Spotify,
YouTube, Google Play, Podcasts.
Really? Wow.
I think that's what it's called. I forget.
Okay. This podcast is ending in 3, 2, 1. Bye.